everyone, my name is Sarah. This is Sarah Makes. It's primarily my knitting podcast. However, I also do some quilting and maybe delving into some garment sewing. And this is episode 2. I live in Buffalo, New York with my husband and my 2 daughters, and we have a baby boy on the way in October. All right, so finished objects. I feel like I did not get any knitting done this entire month almost. Since my first podcast. I started a lot of projects and I had to frog a bunch of them, almost all of them. It was really frustrating. What happened is I have this sort of budget that I'm trying to stick to monthly, and when I run out, I try and really wait. So I waited to buy patterns and I waited to buy the yarn I needed for the patterns I did have. And so I tried to start doing scrap projects, just with yarns I had left over, and a lot of those just failed. But last time I showed you my work in progress, which was the first baby knit. I was not super inspired to do a bunch of baby knits. They grow out of them so fast, and I can just get a bunch of onesies for $1/4 at the local place here. So, you know, I wanted to knit a few special pieces for like a little bit older, since there are so many cute boy sweaters out there, or unisex sweaters. So I did work on one sweater and I finished it very quickly. This is Skiffed by Jessica McDonald Designs, and that's here actually. This was a really nice pattern. It has sizes up to 12 years old, so that's really cool. I'm gonna have to use this again. And I might change up the design here and there. But this was knit with, it's a DK weight, and it's the Lion brand Feels Like Heaven. And I was very happy with this yarn. I really like it. I think it's being discontinued actually, which is unfortunate. It's also unfortunate that they don't have many good colors. They have this nice heathered dark charcoal. It's supposed to be a gray, but it's pretty much black. But it's heathered, it's very soft. And then they have this beige, which works really well with the black, I think. It doesn't look super stark, you know? It's not super white. It's an off-white, and it just looks really nice together. Now, there are some complaints with the yarn, which I did notice that the dye of this black comes off on the needles a little bit. I didn't find that it was that bad, and I was concerned that it was gonna bleed into the white here, but when I blocked it, everything was fine. Barely any dye came out when I was soaking it, like you could barely tell. It was just slightly gray water, and I'm happy that it worked out just fine because I love the yarn so much that I bought more and decided to work on my next project. My next major project with the same yarn. That is actually, I believe, the only thing I finished. I had to rip out so much stuff. Like I started baby pants, which I didn't have enough yarn for, and I really didn't want to turn them into bloomers because I just don't like bloomers and I don't use them. So I just frogged the whole thing. I started another project, the Labato sweater, which is a free 2 of Wands pattern. And that's here actually. I guess we'll get into whips already, since that's the only thing I finished. But I wanted to use the leftover creme cotton, the loops and threads creme cotton that I had made a shawl out of. It was the coffee house wrap from 2 of Wands as well. And I liked the fabric that came out of that. So I started the Labato sweater with the same loops and threads creme cotton. I believe that's the Michaels store brand cotton. and I did the entire front panel and then had to rip it out because it was huge. Like I was in denial about it. I think I thought, oh, well, let's have a big sweater. I like big cozy sweaters. No, it was way too big. So I ripped the whole thing out and started over. I did not change the needle gauge. I did a gauge swatch, figured out which size I should do based on the measurements I wanted. But my knitting mojo for that project has been diminished since it was really just supposed to be a quick, easy scrap project, and now it kind of turned into this big thing. So I'm gonna take my time on that one. What else? Another whip I have, this is the main project, the thing I've been really excited about working on, which is a Boyland Knitworks pattern called Halibut. Let me make sure I don't lose any stitches here. And it's here. I use the same Lion brand yarn as in my little baby sweater. And I'm a good way through the chart. Because I apparently have a problem with knitting sweaters too big, in my first episode, I knit a Halloween sweater and it was absolutely huge. It was kind of disappointing. This one seems really big too, but I have checked the gauge a bunch of times and it's correct. In fact, it's knitting up a little bit smaller, probably because of the Fair Isle that we're doing, the color work. And it's correct, so I'm just crossing my fingers that it's gonna be okay. I did, however, knit the collar with the wrong needle size, and I just decided whatever. Like I knit it with the main needle size instead of the ribbing needle size. So if that ends up being a big problem, I may just either do a crochet loop, like I'll crochet here along the inside to kind of hold it so it doesn't stretch out, or I might crochet it double, so I might fold it over into a crew neck, and if I have to, I'll put a little bit of elastic in there to hold it, but I think it'll be okay. I can also pick up stitches, cut it, and re-knit it in the correct gauge. I don't want to do that, but I might have to. But I'm really excited about this sweater. I think it's so cool, and I can't wait. I love the yarn, and I actually have just this much of the beige left. I'm not gonna make it. I was trying to play yarn chicken with it, but I'm not gonna make it, so I've ordered another one of this, and it's hard to find because I think that it's probably discontinued. So I'm just waiting on Joann's to send it to me. So that is on hold until I get that. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that yarn to arrive, I decided to cast on another Boyland Knitworks pattern called Iscald. Let me show you there. I didn't plan on knitting this sweater with this yarn. I chose this one. In my previous episode, I talked about how I found this on clearance at Michael's. This is the Karen Cloud Cakes. It's discontinued. I have a lot of purple, and then I found these two of these in a colorway called Lobster Claw. And it was $5 for a big cake of it. I think it's about 700 something yards in one cake. My plan was to do the campfire cozy wrap with this yarn because it's very soft and I thought it would make a nice blanket wrap. And this was the campfire cozy pattern. I started this, realized that this yarn was too thin for what I was going for. I wanted it to be very thick, like a warm blanket, and it was too airy, you know, despite being very soft. So this is striped. It's very distinct stripes too, so it doesn't fade. And I'm pretty sure all the stripes are basically the same thickness. Yeah, I wasn't sure that I would really like the stripes on the sweater, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. Just go for it. It's very soft. I'll probably wear it anyway, even if it's not my favorite design ever. And I do plan on knitting this particular sweater again in like a cream color, but I have to wait to pick up more yarn for that. That is it for my whips. I have made a small amount of progress on my novice cardigan by Petite Knit, but I'm not gonna bring that out. It's slow going. But I got a few things done with that, a few rows at least, a few inches. But that's not my main priority. I think that one's gonna be a pretty slow going project. I'm not gonna bring that out anyway. I've been really wanting to make some linen dresses, just summer easy dresses, house dresses kind of. I got my serger out, set it all up, and I'm trying to figure out how to do everything. I'm not great at garment sewing. I've sewn some dresses in the past. They always ended up kind of wonky and weird looking. I felt like they just felt so homemade that I never actually wanted to wear them anywhere. And the last time I sewed a dress was probably 2012. So it's a long time ago. But I got my serger out, I set it all up, and I just started practicing. So I went to thefabricstore.com and they have a lot of free patterns for linen clothing. And I downloaded a dress called the Cora half sleeve dress. And first of all, I practiced with this. So this is it's not a maternity dress and it's not super flattering as a maternity dress. But this is a linen look fabric that I got from Joann's. It's really comfortable. It's wrinkled. I just took it out of the wash. I don't care if it's wrinkled. And it's a very basic dress. You can see here that I'm pretty new at the binding, the neck binding. And the back of the dress has this keyhole design, which is completely unnecessary to take the garment on and off. I don't need it to fit my head through the dress, but it caused me a lot of problems because I don't know how to do that type of detail. I had trouble trying to do the binding around it. And so what I decided to do is, after I made this dress, I decided that I wanted to raise the waist up just a few inches and then just completely forget about the keyhole back. So I like this dress a lot. It's perfect for a house dress. The fabric is very comfortable. And it's nice. I like it. I like how it turned out. I've worn it several times. You can see I got out of the wash, out of the laundry basket. It's wrinkled. It's totally okay. It's a house dress. But I did those modifications and I made a second dress from the same pattern. And this one is with a very cheap fabric. I don't know why. I should have saved this fabric because it's really nice fabric and adjusted the pattern after making like a muslin mock-up, because I have a ton of muslin. I don't know why I didn't bother doing that. Instead, I did the testing on this nice fabric I also did not have enough fabric for the skirt to be as gathered as I wanted it to be, which was unfortunate. So I adjusted the pattern, got rid of the keyhole thing, and decided to probably do fabric facing instead of this bias binding, because I mean, it looks okay. This side looks better. This side is wrinkled here. It just is, I don't know. It's complicated. But I adjusted the pattern, like I said, and I made a second dress. And this is with very inexpensive Walmart gingham. This also just came out of the wash, so it's wrinkled here. The facing is wrinkled. Oh boy. But the facing worked really well. I did tack it down in a few places so it doesn't want to roll up everywhere. I don't know how well that's going to work, but I actually shortened the sleeves, but then when I hemmed it lower than this one, so it's pretty much the same length anyway. But it's this really cute green and beige gingham. I did have enough fabric. In fact, I have a ton of this fabric. So I did the gathering correctly. And I really like this one as well. And it's very light. I'm not so sure that this was intended to be apparel fabric. It's from Walmart. I don't know. But it was really inexpensive, and I like how the dress turned out. And I like how the pattern turned out. The waist is higher. It's a few inches higher, so it looks nicer. It looks nicer as a maternity dress, and I think probably as a regular dress, it'll look nicer as well, having the waist a little bit higher. Yeah, and that's it. The serger is fantastic. Whenever I used to do dresses, I would always do a French seam, and it just ended up, you know, wonky looking all the time. So the serger is so helpful because I can just serge the end and then sew one folded hem or two if I want to, but it works out so much better. It's so much faster. But I like that one, and I did purchase a white linen. Actually, let me go grab that. I plan on making this dress several more times, and I did buy this cream colored linen from Joann's. So I'm gonna try and do that with this, and then I might make a skirt. I want another dress or a skirt maybe with this. This is a fall collection fabric, apparel fabric. I found this at Hobby Lobby. They were having a sale on fabric, and I really like this color and pattern. I don't really like supporting Hobby Lobby, but since they had a fabric sale and I was out that way, I did go there and buy that. So that is it for garment sewing. I feel like I'm just not a summer knitter, and it was just more exciting for me to work on some summer clothes, summer dresses. So I was having fun doing that. Next, okay, I have a finished quilt. I'm very excited. So we're gonna do quilts. I finished this baby quilt. This is a gift. I was trying to get this done for the baby shower. That didn't happen because the quilting design, not the piecing design, the quilting design took me a very long time to finish. I don't have a quilting sewing machine, so it was difficult to maneuver. But I finished this. It's a very simple kind of modern pattern, just a herringbone with pink and gray. I believe the nursery colors are pink and gray. And then on the back is Belle from Beauty and the Beast, because my friend really likes Beauty and the Beast. So I did this little coral binding to kind of tie in the flowers on the back side. And the quilting design I chose was this scallop. It's a scallop pattern, and I said on my last video, or my last episode, that I got really annoyed with myself because this was a Beauty and the Beast quilt and the scallops look like mermaid scales, and it's not the Little Mermaid. So I really almost was like, I should rip this whole thing out and start over, but I just went with it and I finished it, and I think it's cute, and I don't think anybody will notice that it looks like mermaid scales. I thought it kind of looked like the ruffles on Belle's dress, and I think that's probably where I got the idea. I actually wanted to do hearts, but that would have been impossible on my sewing machine. So I'm glad I didn't buy the heart stencil and try to do that, because that would not have worked. From now on, I think I'm going to be doing straight line quilting, pretty much only, maybe some squiggly lines here and there, but I'm probably not going to do this style of quilting again. But I like how the finished product turned out, and I actually did hand stitch the binding at the end, which I've never done before. So that's exciting. I'm going to mail that out. And the baby is born now, by the way, but she's still a newborn, so I'm not super late with the blanket. Next, in my last episode, I was talking a little bit about how quilting was kind of a drag when doing fancy patterns. And so what I decided to do was just take some of my pre-cuts and sew them together, chop them up, rearrange them, and sew them together again until I got a cool quilt pattern. And so I let the idea of a fancy, complicated pattern go and just like went with it. And I ended up sewing two large, throw size quilt tops. For me, that's large. So one of these quilt tops was from a fabric line called Whimsical Romance. I had a layer cake of this, and I just decided to do a really big 9-patch and do a disappearing 9-patch kind of pattern. And then as I was doing it, I had tried making some sampler blocks with this fabric and ultimately gave up on it because I was just getting annoyed with all the lining up everything and the points and measuring everything. I just wanted to like have fun, you know? So I incorporated the 3 blocks that I had previously made into the 9-patch. So let me back this up. And looks like this. So I ended up with that quilt top, and I really wanted it to be very scrappy looking. There was an inspiration photo I saw on Pinterest where the whole quilt was made out of just really big rectangles. Like, it wasn't even patchwork per se, and it wasn't really a, what do you call it? A whole fabric quilt? What do you call it when you just take one big square of one fabric and turn it into a quilt? Whatever that is. It was like a combo. There was some patchwork, but they were really big pieces. So that was my inspiration. And I'm happy with how it turned out. I would really like to try some interesting hand quilting with that one. Maybe do some cool patterns in each block. See how that turns out. I want it to be very like cottage core kind of thing. So when I got my Quilting Mojo back from that quilt top, I decided to make another quilt that was a little bit summery, kind of a picnic quilt. And I decided to use my pre-cuts that I had received from one of my quilting subscription boxes. I was getting the Fat Quarter Shop Sew Sampler box, and in those boxes they send you minis of pre-cuts, so like a junior jelly roll or like a half of a fat quarter bundle, not a fat quarter bundle. They'll send you like a half of a fat eighth bundle along with some notions and other things that you can quilt with. But none of the patterns they sent were ever really something that I was interested in. So I ended up canceling it, and I've got all these little pre-cut sets that they had sent. And there were two sets that kind of I thought would go together pretty well. And they were Beautiful Day by Moda. Beautiful Day, Corey Yoder of Coriander Quilts for Moda. And also Love Lily by April Rosenthal of Prairie Grass Patterns for Moda. So those two, let me show you. Now this pattern, and here's the back. Now the pattern I used for that one was a free pattern on Missouri Star Quilt Company's YouTube channel. It was called a fence rail star. So it was a fence rail design, which is usually you would take strips of 2.5 inch fabric, like a jelly roll. So 3 of them together into a long strip, chop it up, then turn them and patch them together in like a 9 patch. But this one you added some background fabric to make sawtooth stars, and it was really easy and fun to make. It took me maybe 2 days to do the whole quilt top plus the border, and I had used some charm squares that I had found at a thrift store around here that seemed to match to do the little squares in each corner. And then I found some background fabric that matched like almost identically to one of the Love Lily strips. I found that at Hobby Lobby. It was that rose with red polka dot background. So I did that, and I've just started doing some straight line quilting on that, but I'm just beginning that. So that'll take a little while, and then I'm gonna do some binding, and I have some red gingham that I might use for the binding. I don't know if it'll match perfectly, but we'll see. All right, lastly, last quilting thing is a future project. And I ordered this from Fat Quarter Shop. My very, very first quilt was a Halloween quilt, and I really enjoyed making that, and I thought I really wanted to make a Halloween quilt every single year. I'm a big Halloween fan, so I did purchase a quilt kit. It's the Boo Crew Mystery Quilt Along quilt kit. Oops, cover up my face. And there's a lot of cute Halloween fabrics. And this was about $45 for the whole kit. And let's see. Yeah, it includes the background and border fabrics and all the fabric you need for all the blocks. And the finished size is 33.5 by 35.5. There's the info card. And you can actually download the pattern, the block pattern, for free off of their website. You don't like have to buy this quilt kit, but I did because it was easy and I didn't want to overwhelm myself. This is a pretty complicated looking pattern, so it's something I'm gonna have to concentrate on, but they do have videos showing you how to do everything on YouTube, and I believe they released the 3 of 4 weeks so far. So I will get started on that. It's fairly soon, I guess. For my last quilting endeavor that is in progress, I have decided that there was actually one pattern that I was interested in working on that came from the Sew Sampler box from Fat Quarter Shop. So a lot of the patterns, it seems like a lot of work for a design that I'm not too crazy about. But this one was the Buzz quilt pattern. And that is with the Bee Plaids by Lori Holt of Bee in My Bonnet. You got 2 charm packs with the box. And this finished size is 37.5 by 37.5. So that would be a good baby quilt. And I thought, like, the little bumblebees were really cute, and that would make a nice boy size quilt, or a boy themed blanket. I mean, it's bumblebees are unisex design, I suppose, but it would be a cute quilt for a baby boy. So I decided to do that for our little boy that's due in October. That is all on my cutting mat in my sewing room, and I'm not in there right now, so I'm not gonna bring out any pieces, but it's all cut out, and I got some, I got the little wings together, I've got the little patchwork blocks together already, so I'm like a good ways along with that one. Other than that, that's it. So yeah, that is all I have. Thank you for watching. If you got this far, I appreciate it. And I look forward to everybody else's podcasts. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.